What up, my glip glops? We have officially turned this car around and headed straight back home because you couldn't behave in the back seat. Which is to say, we've taken everything that we did over on this side and we've flipped it and reversed it right over here. We've adopted a one beam policy. I think, like I say, that's an improvement on what we had before. I was able to feed it in from outside up over the forks and up over the overhead door rails to that cleat right there. You know, so we were sitting there and then we went into the wall bay, so our dimension, our length is to the face of the stud, so we could take the end of it into the wall bay and that would bring our end inside and allowed us to travel across the surface of the wall and up onto I think we placed this cleat underneath the beam once it was there in place. I had a friend on the ladder over here and I slapped that cleat on the wall, screwed into the studs, and we set it there. And then I was able to devise a location for each of the four shores and let them dangle and make a little cribbing on the floor and, you know, pack them around. I like to use the dead blow hammer, which is nice and soft, to plumb these up, checking with the big long level. And then we cranked the living shit out of them and took this thing up a ways. Now, for whatever reason, you can't see daylight underneath the wall, but you can see that there's a nice big gap there. There we go. We are up. Whether or not we need to go as much as we are remains to be seen. We just have created a straightness. We're at a consistent elevation based on the transit here, the laser line, and that allowed me to start today and work out the notch, you know, starting in the corner for the new carrying beam and go all the way down beyond the midpoint. So that's ready to go. Now we're just going to do the same thing as before. We'll put a couple of those hardware, those Simpson hardware post to beam ties on our piece of beam, one at the end and one at 128 inches from there, and then me and a friend will slide it over this knee and then roll it up and into place, and then I'll continue. I started here because it's easier. Obviously, I'm going to have to run the door down, and there's been some interesting supplemental framing done to accommodate this door. It's hard to see if you don't know what you're looking at, but there's some more like a board slapped on the last joist and some other stuff here. We may have to continue to compromise that overhead door in the name of really improving the structural integrity of the building. Then we can revisit the state of the door and dial that in if necessary. It really wasn't part of this project as long as it's not falling down and it's relatively functional. But then we will need our chipping hammer back, and we'll need our backhoe swing cylinder back. And if you check out the other video series on how my entire day can disappear before my very eyes chasing the white tail of the debacle dragon, or the whatever you want to call that, I get wrapped up in some kind of a situation and I have to handle it. Yeah, you said it, Toby. Your name's Toby. And Tank. You tell him, oh, it's Tank. Well, we are moving right along, footloose and fancy free. Looking forward to being up on this side, and then we can tackle the ends and see whether or not they really need anything at all. Worst case scenario, we'll throw a pole in the middle of each end straight down into the ground for a few extra bucks. So we got everything moved inside too, which is nice. We got our lumber in here. It's nice to have all these posts under one beam. I dare say it's more professional looking here with our typical closet door workbench and sawhorse. I think this is a pretty sharp little area, and there's not much else to report. Feeling pretty good, but we're going to pack it in for today because we got to run out and get more of those pieces of hardware there. Those are 15 bucks each, believe it or not. $60 worth of those. Again, we need for this side and then we'll be back. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you.